Hey YouTube, it's Fiber Girl. It is the 5th day of VEDA, and it is Testimony Tuesday. First time I've done one of these in a very long time. The idea of Testimony Tuesday is I kind of just talk about God in some way or another, and I'm really gonna kind of be somewhat stretching it from what I usually do. I kind of just want to talk about something that has been kind of lost in the craziness, great craziness, but craziness of the last little around a month. At this point, not quite, but pushing towards a month. So I got engaged, you guys know, back in March. But not terribly long before that, my grandfather passed away. And I had to leave California, and my family, my mom, my dad, my brother, and I went to Texas on a big road trip to go to the funeral and to be there with our family and stuff like that. And it was just kind of surreal, because by the time I got back, I hadn't been to a staff meeting at work. I hadn't been around much of work. I did go for a couple days, but I was not really dealing with the whole list of I had missed a Sunday right there because I didn't get home until the Monday. And then Scott proposed on the Saturday, so when I got back to church and I was really interacting with people, it's like, oh, I'm so sorry about your grandpa. Look! It was very bizarre, emotional climate for me, and it's still a little weird that all that happened right on top of each other. My grandpa actually constantly would ask when I'm getting married for years and years and years. He'd regularly say that he'd like it to happen so he could go before he died. So I knew actually that my boyfriend at the time was planning on proposing in March, and it's like he just missed it. He just missed at least hearing the asking. The last time I talked to him on the phone, I had just previously had the conversation with Scott, how we had discussed how he would propose in March and we'd be heading on our way to being married, and I told him he was planning on proposing, so it was a step towards that way. One thing I did ask Scott to do, and it was very little clandestine, because I knew he was going to propose. I know he had bought the ring, and I asked him to get a picture of this and sent it to my dad's cousin, and my dad's cousin printed it, sealed it in an envelope, passed the envelope on to my mother and then to me, and it's my little way of going like, it's gonna happen. I know you were asking for it for a really long time. It's gonna happen though, I promise. And I put the envelope in his casket before it got closed. So what kind of makes me feel like this whole discussion applies for Testimony Tuesday is to do with kind of how his funeral went. So I am children's minister. I mean, technically my title is director of children's ministries, but if anyone asks me what my job is, I say I'm a children's pastor. I went to school for ministry and actually took practicum classes that every ministry major at my school had to take, whether it was children's or youth, missions, which we call intercultural studies, biblical studies, different, whatever's in the ministry category, you had to take these classes. And you'd have to do practice marriages, so I performed a wedding, and you had to do practice funerals, and I performed a funeral. Practice baptisms, which dunked people in the pool and stuff like that, which was actually really beneficial when I actually started baptizing people, that I had done that. But yeah, so I had done practice funerals, and I had been educated in how to do a funeral, and my dad asked me to do stuff at my grandpa's funeral. And it was really not a big, elaborate deal. I did something, then someone else gave the eulogy, then my cousin's daughter sang a song, and then the military people did military honors. So it wasn't like I was in charge of the whole funeral or anything like that, but I kind of essentially officiated anything religious. I did a prayer. It was pretty small and pretty simple, but it was just, I never thought about being the person that was the religious figure for my grandpa's funeral, especially because we do not come from the same religious traditions, and I don't know, maybe I'll talk about that someday, just not today. So it was interesting, and like I kind of had to toe a line, and I think I did it well. A lot of people said I did, but it was just very different for me. So just a lot happened in my life in a very short period of time. My grandpa passed away. I had to lead an overnighter event, spend the night at the church, do church for regular Sunday, get as much stuff physically done in the office as possible, drive home. I ate dinner and packed, and then we drove to Texas from California and did that, drove back home for a couple days, and I got engaged. So my life has been a little insane. A few years ago, a lot of people got sick and died over and over again after I'd gone to a wedding. I remember just thinking the passages in Ecclesiastes that to everything there's a season. There's a time for dancing and a time for mourning. And I'm kind of in that world again, and it's just interesting. But God is good, and life is an adventure. Okay, guys, I will see you tomorrow for another day of VEDA. It'll be Wedding Wednesday. Not that you haven't gotten enough of that so far. Alright, God bless. Bye.